The South African Communications Industries Association has signed a collaboration agreement with the South African Music Promoters Association. Under this agreement, SACIA and SAMPA will work to professionalize the live music sector. SACIA Executive Director Kevan Jones and SAMPA President Mpololo joins us now via our video link for more on this discussion. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. And perhaps let's start off with you, China, and maybe if you can just tell us more about this journey in which you have embarked on. Why have you embarked on this journey?
Good evening and good evening to all the viewers. I think it was time that we begin to look at what is important for the sector. And the history that we've been part of have shown us quite a number of challenges that the industry was facing, which led for a discussion that has been going on between the CEO of SACIA and myself in a different platform. And because we are also part of a forum that has been entrusted to transform the industry, and we've been doing that for the last 10 years. So those discussions made us to realize we need each other so that we can begin to try and transform the industry and make it to be more regulated than any other time. I think that's what motivated us to take this initiative.
And of course, the transformation of any industry is always, a good thing. And, bringing in Kevan now, and I want to know from you, Kevan, as SACIA, what will your role be in this new venture?
So we are a SACIA recognised professional body, and I think that the key for us is that we have a specific mandate to develop and award professional designations that recognise the skill and the competence of people working in the industry. A couple of years ago, we developed a new professional designation for event managers. And we really believe that designation has been very well accepted within corporate and business events, but it's equally relevant in the music sector and, of course, for sporting events. And when we looked at how we wanted to roll it out, we sat down and said, if we want to bring the music promoters into our fold and recognize their competence and their professional standards, rather than trying to do everything ourselves, let's form an alliance with SAMPA so that by working together, we can drive that commitment to the professional development of the industry and expand our footprint beyond business events into music and sports.
And China, you spoke a bit earlier on when it comes to some of the challenges that you previously faced and hence why you find yourself here and with this collaboration. Maybe if you can just give us a bit of insight, what are those challenges being faced by you as music promoters?
I think if I'm being honest and open, I don't think our sector does get political support. And as a result, if I were to tell you now that any music promoter, even musicians, together with actors, were expected to pay the same tax like everybody else, but we are not being recognized as workers. And that is one aspect of it. But coming to the sector that we are leading, which is the live eventing, you realize that the way it's so open, that any Tom, Dick and Harry can just wake up in the morning if he's got a budget and put up a project. But purely because of the significant system that is used when you put up an event, anyone can do that. An ordinary person that is sitting at home who sees that won't even differentiate between a professional event and an amateur one. Anything that goes wrong ends up affecting the industry. You remember what happened when the ex-president Mbeki stage fell, purely because of those kind of aspects, because there was no engineer certificate that was given for that particular company to do that. So there are quite a number of those kind of challenges. Not saying anything about the funding issue, because these days any project that you put, if you don't have money to do it, it's not going to fly. Promoters are the last people to benefit in the event that they do themselves. You must remember, when you go and host an event, everybody else gets paid upfront, be musician, be service provider, security, all of them. And most of us, we depend on those door takings if you don't have enough sponsorship. So there are quite a number of those challenges that we're facing. But the critical one now, which puts us in this discussion, it's to keep the standard and to professionalize the sector, which is what we've been having challenges year in, year out. And we believe with this partnership that we have created, that is going to change anything. And I believe so. It speaks to the mandate of the current government of national unity, which we think we're playing our own part, and we'll hope we'll also get political support to make sure that this program is being rolled out all over the country.
And Kevan, perhaps maybe if you can also expand on this for us, and just talking about how does professional registration protect the public against unprofessional promoters?
So I think that China just gave you a grand example where promoters get paid last in the value chain. And so one of the things that we've seen promoters doing is selling tickets for an event, sell more tickets for an event than can be handled by the capacity of the venue. So when we set professional standards, we also require all of our members to sign a code of professional conduct that commits them to a higher standard of business and a higher standard of ethics. And when they do something wrong, like selling more tickets than can be accommodated in a venue, we can hold them accountable. So certainly there's a big part of it that is about protecting the public against unprofessional or unethical conduct by designated industry professionals. But it's also about, as China said, setting a standard and driving a commitment to the professionalization of not only the music industry, but the broader cultural and creative sector. Because musicians and music promoters don't work in isolation. One of the things that we're able to bring to the party is that in addition to awarding designations in event management, we also award designations in event safety and event technical. And it's bringing all of those elements together that at the end of the day creates a more professional environment, a safer environment for patrons attending music events.
And staying with these promoters, China, one would also ask, how do people become music promoters? Maybe if you can just take us through, when it comes to becoming a music promoter, what does that entail?
In fact, it's a very interesting question, because if you were to look at the current top promoters in the country, your Drakensberg promotion, your Jazz Foundation, your Team Music Man, your CSANs, you go on and on. Most of those people, they've never had a formal training in actually putting events together. It was true experience on duty, which made them to be the household names. But it is a process that we're trying to change now, because that process is not sustainable. Those days, it was easy because things were not expensive. Now, you can't take such a risk. Hence, it's important to come up with systems and policies that will guide how you become a professional promoter. I'll give you a typical example. If your brother or your friend or your colleague happen to work in a very good company as a marketing manager, as a CEO, and is in charge of the marketing budget, is able to give you the budget that you want to put up that event, not because you have skill and capacity to put that event, but purely because you have access to that budget. And therefore you will do whatever you want to do because you are guaranteed of making money. But forgetting that there are processes that you wanted to go. You know that in US, for instance, if you want a musician, I can't just go to the manager and get that musician, like it's happening in this country. There are agents which their job is to work between the promoter and they make sure that all the boxes are being ticked according to the regulations and the system that are in place in that country. So these are the kind of things that we want to come and introduce here at home. With the hope of this process, we believe strongly we'll be in the better position. You know, in fact, as we are speaking now, about 30 minutes ago, I got a call from one of our colleagues in KZN, who they have a structure that they are trying to put together there. When they saw this thing, they saw it's exactly the language that they are speaking, which they want to be part of. So we're trying to make sure that this process will be able to change the entire landscape and the face of the live events.
And Kevan, you know, bringing you into this discussion once again, one would ask, you know, what are the plans in terms of developing certain qualifications, especially for those seeking to pursue a career in becoming music promoters?
So I think that there are two elements to this. The first, of course, is that as a professional body, we develop professional designations. So we've put together a very clearly defined competency matrix that will allow us to assess the competence of people working in this sector. That's in place and ready to roll out pretty much straight away. Unfortunately, there are currently no formal qualifications for the people wanting to develop a career as a music promoter. But we've been working with, in the short term, the services SETA in the process of developing a new occupational qualification for event managers, and I'm aware that the CAT SETA is looking at enhancing that so that it can be specifically used to promote or to develop an NQF level 5 qualification for music promoters. So one of the things that we do is we work closely with quality councils and the various SETAs to develop qualifications that are aligned with international best practice, but also aligned with the needs of industry, so that youngsters that are entering the industry will have access to formal training that will allow them to enter the industry and pursue a career. But also, let's not forget, as China said, the people that are already working in that sector. One of the things that we need to do is to develop and roll out a program of continuing professional development that allows people currently working in the sector to upskill themselves. You know, we're competing in a global market, and unless the music promoters and the event technicians and the event safety officers and everybody else that's involved in that process, unless we all embrace a commitment to professional standards, international standards, there's just no way that we can succeed and compete with our international counterparts. So, you know, on one hand, it's about embracing a commitment to standards. It's about ensuring that there are training programs that will upskill people working in the sector, and then about awarding professional designations that allow us to recognize the skill and the knowledge and the competence of people working in this industry.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is SACIA Executive Director there, Kevan Jones, as well as SAMPA President China Mpololo, talking to us there about professionalizing, of course, the promotion of music in this country.